We're here to discuss and I've already forgotten the name of the grant, the ILED program. To discuss posting and advertising certified drug and alcohol counselor. And I will turn it over to you, Mr. Prosecutor.
I'll respectfully defer to our grant coordinator. She was primarily responsible for working with our agency partners, one of which is present. And I'll allow Colleen to take the reins from there.
Absolutely. So as a part of the grant program that we were approved, we were able to hire a certified drug and alcohol counselor. So in working with the group and figuring out what needs to be the certifications, what kind of caseload they're having, and really taking the job into figuring out the full scope of what this is. We did come up with the job description that we sent to you. The description of the ILED program is in there, and that's kind of the background on what these programs are and what this position will be a part of. And then there's the requirements of the education, what we're looking for in those sides of it, and then what those job duties are, pretty specific to our Shoshone County pre-prosecution diversion grant program. And then the other part of it is the perks of a Shoshone County employee. So that's the different components of this that we would be putting out. We were approved for the 3 years, and we've done 3% cost of living increases with this, and then went back through and reevaluated what the benefits package looks like based on what the family structure would be. So we're ready to seek that person to start the program.
Okay.
And they would be a Shoshone County employee.
And they would be
They're being paid by the grant, 100% of it.
and they're reporting to the commission.
So the VOCC.
Yes.
Just making sure
Okay. Yeah.
I go through too many meetings in a week, so things start to cross. So, but supervising and et cetera is being done through
The ILED committee oversees the processes and procedures of the program, will be responsible for ensuring that the program requirements of this specified employee are being complied with. As far as the ability to hire and fire, that would be within the sole discretion of the VOCC, though they certainly, I would anticipate, would solicit input from this subcommittee in carrying out the hiring process and advising the board of recommendations for who should fill the position.
Okay.
Does that sum it up?
I think so.
Okay.
So who do you envision being doing the interviews?
Internally, we've loosely discussed our subcommittee as we've established it, which now includes yourself as the VOCC chair sitting in on those meetings, having that really be the panel for the hiring process. The delegation for soliciting applications, sorting them, and compiling a list of candidates, I think would be more easily delegated to one individual who's responsible for bringing that information before the subcommittee as a whole. From there, it would seem most efficient to have the subcommittee narrow that selection down and rank those applicants to present that to the actual VOCC for formal hiring.
Okay.
And that's just my recommendation. I mean, ultimately, if you all feel a better process or procedure exists out there, certainly within your purview to do something different.
No, I think I was looking for what you said. I don't think we want the VOCC trying to sort out and hire somebody with no input from the people who actually understand the program. That would be, I think the other way around would make sense. So who might you recommend would be running this process, putting out the jobs and coordinating interviews and screening.
Sure. So as identified currently within the grant submissions and our policies and procedures, which we're actively developing, our case manager for the program is going to be Mike Smith. He's going to be the one that's most directly hands-on with the actual participants. Program coordinator is Colleen, who's responsible for the grant compliance side. As such, I would envision Colleen would likely be the person who is taking the reins on the advertisement and subsequent receipt of applications. And once somebody is actually selected for the position, the day-to-day interactions of the job would primarily involve interactions between this employee and Mike Smith as the case manager. So when we're discussing really who's going to be most hands-on, the hiring process is likely going to be Colleen, but once they're hired, the day-to-day functions will be most closely associated with our case manager for the program.
Sense to me.
Yep, it does.
Like you guys have actually thought about this. Okay. That's not always the case when it gets here to the board. So, okay. So what do we need from the Board of Commissioners to proceed?
I think we need the BOCC to authorize the creation of this new position. Obviously, the fulfillment date for this position is TBD, meaning we don't know how long we're going to have to advertise in order to get a respective applicant pool that allows us to fill the position. Potentially, there may need to be money that's expended on this position before the budget year's over. Hopefully, that won't be an issue as there's sufficient funds in the grant, which we've already received those grant funds. So we'll be able to really provide an immediate reimbursement or funneling of those funds for payment to that individual, essentially as soon as they're employed. Long term, obviously, as we discussed in our last meeting, there's a little bit of a gap, which we've got some time, I think, to figure out how we can seek outside reimbursement to help make up a slight shortfall in the salary and benefits package. And I think Colleen at least has a tentative plan of action, maybe to leverage opioid settlement funds for that and or some other areas. But in the immediate future from the BOCC, we need to authorize the creation of this new position. And because it doesn't have an actual effect on our budget, because it's going to be paid for out of grant funding, I don't envision that would necessitate reopening the budget for this year. Because even though there's a new position being created, there shouldn't be any additional expenditure of funds.
I think you're right. Okay. So what we need today to move forward is the BOCC needs to create this job position for the certified drug and alcohol counselor, and with this job description, that would be appropriate with this salary and job description.
So I think that correctly summarizes it.
Okay. Well, can you think of anything else we need to know or to cover today? Get to the bottom of that. I mean, we've already briefed on the grant, the program, so.
I think maybe as an additional safeguard, create the position pursuant to the details outlined in the proposed job description that's been presented at BOCC and subject to the guidance and recommendation for structure from the county clerk, as there may be some things on her and HR wise that she may want to provide some input on as far as how the position structures.
So moved. Like I'm going to repeat all of that.
I said you're going to go. Okay.
All right.
So moved is sufficient. I mean, it's in the record, so.
You've got it? All right. I'm making the motion.
I will second the motion.
Any further discussion? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you for your assistance with the motion today. I've been waiting to say so moved for a long time because they do it to me all the time. So, all right. Is there anything else that you need from the Board of Commissioners today?
I don't think so. I mean, after we get off the record, obviously, Karen is here. She can provide some additional background for her role because she's a new face at the table that you guys may or may not recognize. But that doesn't need to be part of this motion. So
Right. That said, then this meeting is adjourned.